right, Mad Dog Russo, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Radio. What's going on, brother?
Hello, buddy. Kev, how you doing? Things good?
I am so excited. So you came on a couple of years ago on this show, and you told me my son should be a Mets fan, not a Yankees fan. You went through all
did
those
I say
reasons.
that?
You did
Wow.
say that. He is still he's 1 year old. He just turned one.
So yeah, it's early yet.
It's so early. We're gonna figure that out. I haven't. No one has taken the lead yet.
I would do the Mets only because it's a little cooler. They haven't won, so when they do win, he'll feel very good about it. The Yankees, it's almost like rooting for U.S. Steel, the old line.
Yep.
So if it was me, the Mets are going to spend money, so they're not they're not poor. But I would have them be a Met fan.
One baseball question before we get into the football part of it. The Tropicana's caddy corner here. You see it every time you walk out. It's where the A's are supposed to be. The mayor of Las Vegas comes out today.
I saw that.
Says we don't really want the A's. Nobody seems excited about it. I'm an old school baseball fan. I grew up obsessed with it. I don't love it as much as I used to. I like football more. But can you put in perspective what this A's mess is and where you think baseball should go with it?
I don't know if baseball has an option. I don't think Oakland's ever going to build a stadium for them that is going to be apropos.
Yeah,
they don't want to be on the Oakland Coliseum site. They did lose the Raiders. They did lose the Warriors. They have not shown Oakland, and I don't blame them, but they have not shown necessarily. They were $115 million short last time after they said they had the money. They didn't. And then, you had $150 million. We'll give us some time. Hold on now. This has been going on for 25 years. So, the A thing in Oakland's been a disaster. But the problem with Vegas is they had the Knights came, then the Raiders came. The mayor's comments today, nobody likes the A's owner in Fisher. They got to pass this money for the $345 million deal with the state. That's another problem, too. Baseball's got a major problem with the A's. It seems like they got the Tampa thing solved for the moment with the move in St. Petersburg with the new stadium. I don't think it's such a great idea to play baseball in St. Petersburg, but at least there seems to be movement to get a stadium done. This team is a nomadic franchise. I know it's easy to kill the owner, tell the owner to do this, tell the owner to do that, but let's be honest, in sports today, if you want to keep your team, okay, not everybody's Stan Kroenke. The state of Minnesota built the stadium for the Vikings. If you want to keep your team, the Giants got a lot of breaks with the debt thing with New Jersey.
Yep.
If you want to keep your team, you have to help the city build the stadium. And, in baseball with Oakland and California in general, it's very tricky. So, I'll be honest with you, I read the same things you did today. She did take back a little bit of it a little later on. Yeah. Maybe she's close to the Oakland mayor. Who knows? But it did. I was a bad portent.
Didn't look good.
I agree.
Mahomes to you. I got a great listener question last week. I'm thinking about it the whole time. They asked, is Mahomes Jordan or LeBron? And I think the difference between them is LeBron left room for other. He's great, and he always made so many finals, won so many championships, and the journey with him has been incredible. But LeBron would make room for Steph Curry to have his own legacy. There's certain guys within that who have gotten, who have not shut the door on other players. And my feeling is he's more Michael Jordan because he's shaping the legacy of everybody. He's shaping Josh Allen's legacy. He's shaping Lamar Jackson's legacy. We'll see, he might be shaping Kyle Shanahan's legacy. Mahomes to you in a historical context is what, Mad Dog?
He reminds me a lot of Steph Curry. He changes the game. He kind of, he's not a big, strong, 6'8" kind of guy. He's fun to watch. He's got a lot of the same mannerisms. Curry's changed the game with his three-point shooting. The way he runs around there, Mahomes throws the ball with his left hand. He plays the position like a shortstop.
Yep.
I see some combinations with Curry. Now, he's probably better than Curry and what he means to his game because Curry's a little guard.
Sure.
And a little guard can't have necessarily as much of an impact in the NBA as a quarterback can in football. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different. But I see a lot of Curry in Mahomes. Now, as far as the impact is concerned, obviously the quarterback spot is bigger than a point guard / shooting guard. Jordan's a wing. Obviously, LeBron's a power forward. He's a little bit of everything. Curry's not a power forward.
Right.
Curry's not a center. He's not a great defensive player necessarily. But from what he does offensively, even with the mouthpiece dangling, and Mahomes kind of does the same thing if you watch him on the sidelines. He reminds me a lot of Curry. So I see a little Curry there. As far as greatness is concerned, I mean, I put him. Listen, I think he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. I know he's not going to necessarily have the 8 Super Bowls, which would top Brady. He's already lost one, which Montana didn't do. So, I mean, I don't know where you're going to stack him up from an aggregate standpoint. But from breaking down a position and winning a game for your life, I'll take Mahomes.
I completely agree. And also, the floor is the AFC title game. This is the worst Chiefs team of the Mahomes-Reid era, and it made the Super Bowl, and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think they're going to win, too. I'm not betting against Mahomes.
100%.
Sure.
And for me, so the floor is the AFC title game, and then you have to pray if you're the Ravens, if you're the Bills, you have to pray that either you play perfect football.
Or he has an off day.
Or
as
they,
he did
or
in the second
half,
and he's only had one. In the second half against Cincinnati, he was bad in the game.
And then, I mean, we can't even hold the Tampa Bay Super Bowl against him because he ran out of offensive linemen.
Oh, he had a good job, Kevin. You're right on top. And Reed didn't coach well that game. His kid just had the major car accident with the little kid.
Of course.
He was a little out of it that game. And I do think the offensive line was a major problem. 100% right.
And the one thing, I had a couple people, ex-teammates on the last couple of weeks of Mahomes, and they said the one thing that's amazing about him, this is the sign of like a generational athlete, legendary athlete, not just a good athlete, is they'll go down 20 points and there's no rah-rah speeches. There's no kind of, hey, we can do this. Let's 30 minutes for the rest of our lives of old varsity blue speeches. None of that. There's just, we're going to go out and execute the next play. And we're going to be totally normal. Hey, stop dropping passes, stop muffing punts, just doing the normal stuff. And it reminds me, Bill Walsh has said this, and the score takes care of itself, where he says there's no such thing as rising to the occasion. There's only executing normally when everybody else loses their heads. And I think that's the definition of clutch. Now,
he does not make bad plays
Yes.
in big spots. He's 14-3 in the playoffs.
Yes.
He can manage the game if you want him to do that, and he can win the game if you want him to do that too. He doesn't have to be, Marino had to be the dominating factor in the game. Elway in a lot of ways had to be the dominating factor. The game, Peyton Manning's a perfect example. Favre, the game had to revolve around those guys. With him, it's not the case. I mean, he played pretty well against the Ravens, but he didn't lose the game.
Right.
And that's important.
He takes chances with his throws and doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Never makes a mistake.
unbelievable.
He was 30 of 39 in the game against the Ravens, and he played pretty well, but they only scored 17 points.
Yes.
He didn't dominate the game, but he outplayed his opponent in Jackson, and he didn't lose the game, which is the most important thing.
So the Brock Purdy discourse at some point is going to eat itself because I think the only time it matters is when it comes contract time. What is he the 8th best quarterback in football? Is he the 16th best quarterback in football? I don't know. With Kyle Shanahan, he's a top 5 quarterback because he has one of the best play callers in the history of the sport helping him.
He does.
You fall where on Brock Purdy discourse?
Listen, first off, I'm not going to give Purdy too much abuse in this game, whether he wins or if he wins. I don't want to say it's a house money game for Purdy. It is the Super Bowl. He's in his second year. He only played 8-9 games in his first year. He's been a little banged up that first year, of course, against Philadelphia. He gets a complete pass with the elbow. So, I mean, listen, if he goes out there and stinks, and he wasn't great against Green Bay, pretty good against Detroit. To me, this game's about the coach. To me, from a San Francisco, Shanahan's got to win one of these games eventually. He did a terrible job late in the Patriot game as a coordinator. The Niner game, they blew a 20-10 lead against Kansas City. Now, I know he had Emmanuel Sanders open and he overthrew him, but, he lost that game too, championship game to the Rams. Shanahan's got to win this game. This is an important game for Shanahan, I think, myself. Now, listen, if Purdy plays terribly, we'll have a different feeling on Monday morning. I think Purdy will play okay. I think he'd do a decent job. He played pretty good against Detroit. He was a little lucky on the pass that hit the face mask.
Yep.
He did not play well against Green Bay. He had a good last drive, but he didn't play that great against Green Bay. But, Purdy, he's part of a system. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. I'm expecting him to be okay, decent, well. You can win with him, but I think the game is really more in Shanahan's hands than it is in Purdy. And if you look at it from an analysis standpoint, would you rather have Mahomes, Reed, or Shanahan, Purdy? You'd rather have Mahomes, Reed. That's why I would bet them.
Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the types of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. What is your Super Bowl watching setup like?
I like to watch the games alone. I don't want to watch the game in a party atmosphere. I want to have fun with the game. I want to enjoy it. It's the last football game for 7 months. So you want to go out there and soak it all in. You want to hear the broadcasters. You want to get revved up for kickoff. I don't watch a ton of the pregame show, if anything at all. I'll probably put it on at 5:30, 5:40. I'm not one of those guys who wants to sit around and drink 7 beers with the next door neighbor. I could care less. The game is too serious to me.
I agree.
Let me watch the game in peace. I don't want to, I watch the game with my kids. I got one kid specifically who's totally on top of it. I won't be with him this week. He's in college, but I watch the championship games with him. My wife is in and out. She's in for the commercials and she's in for the halftime. I could care less about the commercials. I'm not revved up in the commercials. I care about the 60 minutes of the game. 6:30 to 10 o'clock. That's what I care about. And then I want to hear the coaches with the postgame. I want to hear the coaches with their postgame. Because that's, especially the losing coach.
Yeah.
I want to hear what the losing coach has to say in the postgame. And then, at 10 o'clock, 10:30 rolls around, then you're going to be bummed out because you don't have any football for a long period of time. And you want a good game because then a good game carries it on the radio for 2 or 3 days.
Of course. You've never been to a Super Bowl party, or have you?
I have been. Of course I've been. Unfortunately, I've been dragged. I will not go this year, though.
When was the last time you were dragged to a Super Bowl party?
I tell you, it was the Patriots and the Giants, the second one.
What happened?
In Indianapolis. Not the first one. The first one was at the game.
Okay.
The second one, when Manning hit Manningham.
Yeah, Manningham.
I went to a Super Bowl party that night. Did I leave it to half? Because it's a long halftime. Yeah. But I was at one, probably 30, 35 people there. I hate it. And it was friends. So, but I don't want to have chit chat. I want to hear what Nance, and I think it's a big game for Romo. I want to hear Nance and Romo do the game.
So people are coming up to you. It's a huge game. It's Belichick versus Tom Coughlin, Eli Manning legacy game, and people are coming up and just chit-chatting.
Well, and I'm chit-chatting too. I like to chit-chat by myself. I don't want to chit-chat with 50 other people. I don't want to break down every play. I want to break down the game in my own head as the game's going on.
So you didn't even, the guacamole wasn't enough for you?
I think I played the part properly. I think I went out there and I was cordial. But again, I don't think I've had one since. I've watched the game with the family. My wife does the boxes.
Sure.
So she's going to be very wrapped up in the boxes at the end of the quarter and a half. So there's going to have to be some level of cooperation with the missus, which is going to drive me crazy too. She's going to be looking at her phone and following where Taylor Swift is. She's a casual fan.
Sure.
I'm not into casualness on this game. I'm into focusing on the big picture on what the game's all about.
Did your wife drag you to the 2011 party?
No, it was a basketball party, so we had to go.
Okay.
Family scenario. She understands.
Okay.
She didn't want to sit there for every game either. And last year, I only had one kid home, and he's not a sports fan. He watched it for the commercials. Where did I watch it? I probably watched it in my office. Door closed, game on.
Love that.
Laying on the couch.
Chris Russo, SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio. Thanks so much.